Okay, this is gonna be a really brief video to show you how to use a tab loading balance. Most of them are gonna look like this one here. They're not all gonna be the same. Notice that there's a lot of function bottoms on most of our balances, but really just please ignore most of the bottoms. You only really need two of them, which in this one is really nice because they conveniently put the bottoms that you're gonna be using the most on the right hand side, separated from everything else, right? So the first one is gonna be power, so you need to turn the balance on. When it first turns on, it's gonna show a bunch of numbers that um, don't really mean much to us. We just have to wait till at some point it shows this, which is like 0.00, and then always pay attention to the units that it's measuring, right? Because this can be set to measure in grams or milligrams, so make sure that you're reading the right units, because otherwise you will be getting the wrong measurement. Okay, it's not gonna be uncommon to find paintbrushes like these next to our balances. And the reason for the paintbrushes, this is what we use to clean the trays on the balances if there's a little bit of chemical that was left from the last time somebody used the balance. So this is what we use just to brush the tray so it's nice and clean. Okay. So you're either going to be using weight paper or weighing trays. Right now I only have white paper, so this is what I'm going to show you. But you get the idea. So it's we keep it in boxes. Well, it comes in a box. But the one thing that I wanted to tell you is that since we're going to be outdoors, I want you to keep the weight paper box closed when not in use. So you're going to have to open it every time. Get one sheet of the weight paper, and I like to fold it in half just once to make a little crevice on the middle. And the reason for that is because after you measure your chemical, you're going to have to put it somewhere. And for example, if you're putting it on a volumetric flask with a really narrow opening on the top, this kind of works like a funnel, so you can just funnel the chemical right into your container where you're putting the chemical in. Okay. So I did my crease. The other thing when weighing chemicals is that it's best practice never to put chemicals back into the container where you're getting them from, and that is to minimize the possibility of cross-contaminating your chemical stack bottles, right? So, so never put chemicals that you're taking out of a stack bottle back into the stack bottle. So it's a good idea to have another piece of weight paper ready and keeping that on the side. This one I'm gonna do 2 folds like that, okay? I'm just gonna put that on the side, and this is what I'm gonna use. If I overweight, if I weigh more than what I need, instead of putting the extra back into the jar, I'm gonna put it into this piece, and then that I'll put on the garbage if my SIT or faculty say it's okay to do that. Otherwise, I'll put it onto the waste container. Okay, so after, obviously the paper has weight, right? So after we started, it was reading 0. Now it doesn't want to read 0 again. So I'm gonna go ahead and read 0. Okay. Then I'll go ahead and put my weight paper in there, and the paper weighs 0.38 grams. And what I'm gonna do, now that I have the paper, I'm gonna go ahead and hit 0 again. For this example, I'm gonna measure, I wanna measure 0.1 grams. Okay, so that will be 0.10 grams. So I'm gonna measure 0.1 grams. This is what is called a weighing spatula. And they come on different sizes and shapes. So there's this type, and then we have another type that's a little bit skinnier and smaller for smaller weights. And so just grab a little bit. Always start with little bits at a time, and then start dumping the chemical into your weight paper. So I'm still not registering anything. There you go. So that's 0.07. So I just need a little bit more to get to 0.1. So I'm just gonna do it one little bit at a time. This 0.8. See how I'm doing? Like if I get too much on the tip of the spatula, I can just sort of like tap it a few times. Okay. This 0.09, I'm almost there. There's, wow, so 0.10. So I'm gonna tell you what, I'm just gonna put a little bit extra there. So there's 0.12 grams, and I needed 0.10. So I'm gonna have to take some off. I did this intentionally, so I'm just gonna notice how I'm using my left hand. I'm right-handed. I'm using my left hand to like keep things stable. And I'm just gonna carefully try to shave off a little bit of the crystals of the tab. Now I have 0.11. So that's looking promising. So I'm gonna shave a little bit more right off the tab. There it goes. Now I got it down to 0.10. And I will write this number down on my lab notebook and then grab my chemical on the weight paper and then put that wherever it is that it's going into. Okay, that's it.